full of crash damage cars at bargain prices. Heck, YouTube is full of people buying crash damage cars for content. But what if you're not Matt Armstrong and your budget doesn't stretch to buying a damaged Lamborghini? Can you still buy a performance car for a bargain? Or more importantly, should you? This is the car in question. This is Malik's MK2 Focus ST. Actually, let's let Malik introduce it.
Hi guys.
Hopefully you guys will remember Malik from a previous video where we were fitting the gearbox into the Civic last minute, getting it ready for the Nürburgring. But don't worry, we're not touching any of my cars today. This is all about your car today.
It is
So the internet's going to want to know, how the heck did you get a MK2 ST with the 5-pot for 1,700 quid?
So first, I started off with an Astra H.
Yeah, it's a bit of a story in there, so we've got to stay with us, guys. It makes sense why it's technically 1,700, but go on.
Yep. So yeah, started off with an Astra H SRI 1.8. Very fun to drive, one of those little toys just for daily. Then yeah, that just pretty much died one day. Just got home and the car just never started again.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was an ECU fault or no idea.
Yep.
So then one of my pal's friends had a Corsa VXR for sale.
Oh.
At the time, he had it out for 1,700 quid. So
that's cheap for a VXR.
Very.
That is cheap. I'd be suspicious, but go on.
Yeah. Had a look over it. There was minor sort of body issues, as you would expect. Only had the engine management light for a exhaust sensor. Other than that, no issues with the car whatsoever. So I had that for a couple of months. Couldn't really enjoy it because, you know, common issues with the Corsa VXRs, piston number 4, chocolate gearboxes.
Which is crazy because you've got a performance car and you can't enjoy it. So
no.
yeah, so what happened then?
Drove it like a granny for 4 months actually.
Which is crazy.
Then I had a look on the marketplace, as you do. Came up a Mark V Golf GTI. Guy was happy to do a straight swap for the car.
Which was a good car. That's what I sort of remember you for, having that.
Yeah.
And you had a decent run with that, didn't you?
That had, again, minor issues with it. Boost wasn't kicking in and sort of stuff like that. But for the car that was a high mileage, 200k.
And sense of the theme.
Yeah. And then this came along.
Yeah, you fancied the change, didn't you? Right?
I got a bit bored of the no boost and could have done a bit more power. Then this came along. And as you know, the MK2 STs with the amazing 5-pot engine.
And the guy wanted, it was a direct swap then, wasn't it?
Straight swap for the Mark V Golf.
And this is what we were saying, where it was technically, so Malik's put down £1,700 to get him to this point. Yes. So yeah, 1,700 quid for the MK2 ST. So we know it's a MK2 ST, like it's cool as hell, it sounds insane. But before we go for a drive though, I know firsthand, it hasn't been smooth sailing. There's a reason the guy swapped you for a £1,700 car. Yeah. What's the issue? Because you had to sort of get it roadworthy, didn't you? So what did you do to it?
So when I first got it, there was... So initially the guy told me all the car needed was a top mount.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Come to find that the top mount was actually welded on the front driver side. And the front passenger side arm had cracked by the ball joint.
I can't believe I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Full on cracked. Yeah.
One more pothole. Yeah.
Bye-bye, Malik.
Would have been game over. When I first got it, I replaced both front shock absorbers, both front top mounts, both front arms, both front drop links.
You did go to town in fairness, didn't you? Yeah, replace what you could,
Yeah, just to make it safe.
Yeah.
And as the parts are brand new, it's something I wouldn't have to replace at a later time.
Exactly,
so might as well do it now. There was a blow from the exhaust as well, from the centre section.
The exhaust is comical, and this can't be fair.
Yeah.
And I can say that because you didn't do it, so I'm not insulting you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a story with that one.
Yeah.
So he told me it's a section 59.
Yeah, which is a good brand.
It looks like it's 59 different sections of an exhaust. But to be fair, it does sound quite nice like how it is.
As far as mods go, what did he say was done to it?
So he said it's, stage 2 and those sort of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm aware, I think it's running around 300 brakes.
I was to say your butt dyno. What does that tell you? About 300?
Bum dyno, around 300 from the cars that sort of from that next to me and stuff. Yeah.
It bangs like something I've never heard. Flames and stuff, which we will get on the rolling shots, which you've never seen, so I am excited for today. Yeah, I mean, as we walk around the car, you can see I'm not picking it, I'm not blaming you, but I love the fact that you've bought this as a project. You knew it was a project.
Yep.
So don't slate Malik for it. The moment he is working on it, and that's that's kind of one of the reasons he bought it. Like I said, we've got typical red lack appeal, functional bonnet vents, and just. It's a bit neglected in it, but again, I think that's why I drew you to it, so you can just work your magic on it. You've already put some love into it. So like you said, sort of what I'm going to call like your bolt-on mods. You've obviously got an intake, and Malik said, that's next on the shopping list on payday. It is having a new filter. Yep. So what is it? We got obviously the hard pipe in the intake.
Hard pipe for the intake. Also, there's a couple of engine bits I've had to replace when I first got it as well. So the oil filter housing is a common issue. The diaphragm fails after a period of time.
Yeah.
So that was leaking
oil
like crazy. So I replaced that. Then thermostat started leaking as well. Car just overheated one day. It was steaming from the reservoir. So I found out that my thermostat failed as well. So replaced that.
As well as
all
the coolant
lines as well have all been upgraded. The only ones I haven't replaced so far is the heater matrix ones. Yeah,
which is on the shopping list again.
Yeah, that is.
Actually no, I'll get it on the road and we'll have a proper chat about it. But yeah, I'm just excited. I want you guys to hear this thing, and I want you to see the flames. So yeah, let's get out on the road. What I find mad is most people buy, like when you buy a project car, it's always a risk. But you bought a project car as your daily, because at the moment this is your only car, isn't it?
This is, yeah.
You are obviously looking into getting a daily now because you do want to go more power.
Yeah.
As we all do.
Yeah.
We actually featured an ST, but it was many years ago. The channel was quite young then, and I honestly can't remember what they were like. So this I'm looking forward to. This is my sort of first experience, and even as a passenger, I've jumped in now and we're sat in are they Recaros?
They are, yeah.
So we're sat in the Recaro ST, I believe came in the ST2s, is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
And they are heated as well. So on this miserable day, we are obviously battling Welsh weather. We are in Wales again, there's not a lot we can do about that. But I can't believe how comfy these are. And like we said, Recaro really know what they're doing. And what's insane, I've been hearing this thing from the outside all day, but when you're driving normal, I was really expecting it to be boomy.
Yeah, no, the drone isn't as bad. Like again, we can talk now.
Yeah,
and
which is crazy. Yeah, because you hear the cold start on this thing is absolutely brutal. Your neighbours must love you.
Loud, yeah.
But I've got to say, like I said, I will be driving this. Luckily, Malik, even in this weather, is still going to let me have a go. But I wanted to experience it from the passenger seat and sort of get my reaction, because on the way back up, we're going to feel what that 5-cylinder is all about. But I'm just genuinely surprised. I thought it was going to be a bit knocky, a bit rattly, because it's the cheapest one we could find. I don't know if if it's because we're on these roads, but it feels even more exhilarating, doesn't it? So the first thing I noticed behind the wheel, as I just said, the seats are so comfortable. Like we said, Recaro know what they're doing. There's a perfect balance of comfort. Like, they're so supportive around the edge. So it's a perfect balance of comfort and supportive when you need it. Now, going back to these engines, these are the 5-cylinder engines, 2.5 5-cylinder Volvo engine, famously. They're so smooth. So even when you daily drive it, when you're driving it normal, the torque is just there when you need it, no matter what. God, the brakes are very responsive. So I have literally just jumped into this thing, holding this nice chunky steering wheel, which I really like. I mean, it's a Ford Focus, so it is simple and easy to drive. Everything feels as you'd expect from a Focus, but then you second gear, you put your foot down and holy cow. So like I said, that torque, holy crap, even in third. The torque, and the word's gonna come out a lot, but the low down torque is where this thing is miles above a lot of the competition, because you get the grunt really low down, and I gotta be fair, that noise is absolutely intoxicating and addictive. I mean, there's always hints that you're in Wales. That's definitely one of them. Holy crap. The torque. Look at that, even in third, mid-range third, this thing is absolutely catapulting me up the hills. Right, I'm gonna put my big boy pants on. I've got the traction off. Let's see. Oh my God, this thing. Obviously we can't test the handling. It is just spinning. But the punch is incredible. Those brakes are so confidence-inspiring. I was really worried that it was going to be so front-heavy that it wasn't going to be fun. And like I said, okay, I can't test the grip properly today. But I just want to come out of corners because the torque is incredible. It's just spinning. Okay, I wanted one of these for a while. Now, do you know what? It's still not as heavy feeling as I thought it was going to be. And then it grips up and goes. I love, you look across here, you've got the boost gauge. I am. Oh, do you know what? I've wanted one of these for a while. So as an attainable performance car, this was always on the list, and now I want one even more. I would love to properly build one of these. And what doesn't help is I drove here today in a 54 horsepower Volkswagen Fox. So this feels even more like a rocket ship. But no, even in general, this is a quick car. I can't wait to get on the dyno now. God, my adrenaline's pumping.
Right, so first of all, this car and this engine has really impressed me. I'm going to compare it to the VXR for a sec, mainly because Kenny's got one and it is a good comparison. Stick with me for a sec. When you plant the throttle in a 4-cylinder car like the VXR, it feels like the engine is purely relying on the turbo for power, then all hell breaks loose. In the 5-pot, it feels like the engine and turbo are working in harmony, almost like the engine has you covered in the lower range, then hands the baton over to the turbo for full power, so you don't need to rev it up to get rewarded. I know that sounds weird, but that's just how my brain works. Now for this car specifically, a neglected hot hatch with 177,000 miles, and as we later found out, has had 3 different engines. Judging by its questionable past, I was expecting the drive to be a lot worse. I mean, sure, it's got some cosmetic issues, but it makes up for that with character. I personally think Malik has made a great choice. I'm gutted I couldn't test the handling today, so hopefully Malik will let me take it out on a dry day. I want to say a massive thank you to Malik for not only bringing the car out, but even in this dreadful Welsh weather, basically told me to go and have fun in his new toy. We are going to be tidying this car up and doing some modifications soon, so don't forget to subscribe, hype the video, and we'll see you in the next one.